Hello everyone, and very welcome to the first session of the business stream at this year's FlowFest edition. Please be informed that there will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to enter your questions during the call in the comments area. We will pick them at the end of the presentation as much as possible and will answer them. I am very happy to have one of our customers, Bank Julius Baer, today with us, and they will share their exciting Flowable journey and the current enterprise usage with our product within the bank. So welcome to the stage, Thressiya and Simon. Over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Manuel, for introducing us, and thank you, Flowable, for the opportunity to present here at the FlowFest. And of course, thank you to all of you that have the interest in this topic. So our presentation will be about how Bank Julius Baer is using Flowable enterprise-wide. And we will go into the way we have set up our Flowable platform and instances, how we are using Flowable, the service models that we provide out of the competence center, and the governance that we follow and that we have set up. Just have to go to the next slide. This is myself, Simon Wyss, and Thressiya Pazhedathuparambil. I would like to introduce myself first. My journey in IT started 35 years ago as a system administrator. Then I moved into software salesman, and then started with project management and program management, and then moved more into team and department management. So I'm more the organizational guy. 7 years ago, I joined Bank Julius Baer. I'm very happy that I have Thressiya with me because she's more with a technical background. She knows BPMS out of her heart, and I'm happy that she's joining me here for this presentation. Thressiya, could you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Simon. Well, my name is Thressiya. What should I say about myself? Well, I would consider myself one as like the luckiest people, because after completing my studies in Vienna and I was looking around for a job, I had the great opportunity to start in a startup which was creating or owning a BPMS product, BPM product. And it gave me that it was a startup, so it was a very small team, which gave me really good insight into product developments, how we do execute the projects, and it kind of keep my interest in the world for BPM very, highly motivated. And I have to also say I had a very great team back then, great mentors, and the luck what I was talking about is ever since, no matter where I went afterwards, I always had this wonderful opportunity to work with in a part of a big team, a very motivated team, and an efficient one. And then in 2020, when I was looking for a new challenge, I saw Julius Baer was also looking for a product owner for a BPM product. So I took the opportunity and joined JB. And I have to say, the luck is still continuing me because I'm part of a wonderful team. We are a small team and highly motivated. It's almost like family, friends kind of setup there. So I'm happy to be here now today and talk a little bit about our experience and how we use Flowable at Julius Baer. Back to you, Simon.
Thank you, Thressiya. So on the left side of the presentation, you see the organizational side. So it's global shared services. Within shared services, we have a team called Business Process and Content Management. And in there is the BPMS Competence Center, which also hosts Thressiya as the IT product manager. But first of all, why do we place BPMS into global shared services? And let me elaborate a bit, because I see BPMS from many different angles. One is the implementation side, the other one is the operational side, then of course the user side and the optimization it brings. And behind each of the BPMS solutions is a problem or a task or an issue that needs to be resolved, and that is very domain specific. And also within the bank, we have very different challenges to solve. So it could be an approval workflow for marketing campaign management. It could be a client review assessment for compliance. It could be exception handling for transaction processing. And all these different problems could actually be solved with different small solutions, little silos that each for itself could actually work quite well, could be very cheap and quick to implement. But in the end, it would become very expensive because you have individual license contracts, you have redundant capabilities, and so forth. Imagine a world where each garage could build and sell its own self-built custom cars to you. And you would get all your custom little cars and drive them around. But in the end, you end up in a nightmare of different technologies. The government ends up in a nightmare of a control frenzy. And you have people driving very expensive cars or very cheap cars. And the cheap cars might be very expensive in the maintenance and so forth. So providing the BPMS competency out of global shared services helps us to avoid exactly this, because it streamlines the capabilities, it makes them reusable, and it helps us to naturally adhere to standards and governance, and it facilitates the knowledge sharing. So that's why we placed the business process and case management into global shared services. And I would like to go into the history of Flowable at Bank Julius Bär, because that also explains why we had to go this way to make sure that Flowable can be used enterprise-wide. And it starts with a proper product evaluation. In 2019, we compared different process and case management solutions with each other, and we made an assessment and then came to a formal product decision. And this, of course, helps to keep it quiet for the years to come, because you don't want to waste your time and energy with explaining why you're using this product, why you're not using the other product. So the foundation was laid here with evaluation and decision. Then we did the platform release. And this is actually quite an important and was a significant pre-investment and an 11-month project, because we took the Flowable platform, we installed it in our environment, and we created the foundation layer, which is basically an integrated form of Flowable that has about 10 different surrounding systems integrated, so that when you build workflows and case management solutions on Flowable platform, you already have client data integrated, HR data, the user and role management is done externally and centrally. You have transaction data that you can use, and the documents that you upload or create can be stored in an operational data store. The cases can be archived and so forth. So you have, we sort of jokingly internally call it the hot dog stand. You have the hot dog stand installed, you have water connected, you have the electricity connected, and now you can sell the hot dogs. And you can do that much quicker and at much better quality. And to prove that our platform was operational ready and enterprise ready, we did the first workflow solution rollout in compliance. And that was all in 2020. At the same time, and we also did the chat app release, which is not on the same foundation layer, but on a separate one. And that was done within e-banking to allow our clients to chat with the front users. In 2021, we set up the competence center organizationally. And from then onwards, we were in a growth phase. We added functionality like WhatsApp and WeChat integration. We added many more workflow solutions and chat instances. And that, of course, is still going on. And I spare you with the list of all the solutions that we brought live in the last 3 years. But one significant step was that we brought the chat functionality into the mobile app, so that the front users can chat with their clients using their own mobile phones and the BlackBerry app. And then in 2023, we reached a stage where we had enough users to acquire the enterprise license. So we also are, from a usage point of view, on an enterprise level. Good. So with that, I would like to hand over the microphone to Thressiya to show us the global usage at present.
Thank you, Simon. So this slide provides an overview of the global usage of Flowable at Julius Baer, divided into two main areas, instance locations and user and business location. On the left, we can see the instance locations where Flowable instances are hosted. Currently, these are concentrated in Zurich in Europe, Singapore in Asia, and additionally, there is an instance located in Sao Paulo, South America. On the right-hand side, we see a wider map that highlights the user and business locations. This includes several regions across the globe, starting from Guernsey to Zurich, Zurich to Dubai, Bahrain, you name it. And it keeps growing, right? Now, how do we use Flowable at Bank Julius Baer? On the one side, we use it as business process case management tool. On the other side, we use it as chat and conversation tool. Let's have a look at the business process and case management part. There we have 6 domain-specific platforms. On them, I think we have more than 50, closely to 20 applications installed. These are all desktop applications for internal users. Now, to chat conversation, well, the name itself is quite, self-explanatory. It's our chat application, like Simon mentioned earlier, which allows our clients to communicate with Julius Baer, with the RMs. First, there was the RM BlackBerry app. It was the desktop version. And now recently, there is also the WhatsApp integration with WhatsApp and WeChat. This is in a nutshell, very short and crisp, how we use Flowable currently at Julius Baer. Back to you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Thressiya. Yes, so as you all know, Flowable is a very powerful case and process management tool, and it enables the creation of small solutions very quickly, but also the development of large enterprise solutions. And this in itself is an opportunity and a risk for us. The opportunity is that you get something demonstratable within a couple of days or weeks. And the risk is that you can lose yourself in complicated requirements. And because it's possible to implement them, you slowly grow the solution to a large application that people later find expensive and heavy. And this is, and also to mitigate this risk, this is why we are propagating 3 platform usage types in Bank Julius Baer. And we did a rating here to compare these usage types. So I'll start on the pro code side. If the business owners have clear requirements ready and they want to give them to IT to implement them according to specification, then we recommend the pro code, because it's IT to develop the solution, and the involvement of the business owner is reduced to about 30% because they provide the requirements, they attend the demos, they provide feedback, then of course user acceptance, and then do the end user training and the change management. And in the end, it's the competence center that supports the solution. And IT is setting up, of course, the development team and providing the whole delivery. In the middle, we have low code. So if the business owner wants to have more flexibility, work along in the solution, maybe design the models themselves, show them to the end user representatives, be much more flexible. in defining this, then the low-code option is the best. And our own involvement from the competence center is reduced to 50%, and also the support and life cycle maintenance is reduced to 30%. And on the next slide, I can explain you why. This allows our end users to be much closer involved, and it also allows them to be involved without much of tech knowledge. And then on the right-hand side, we have the open source variant, and we have 3 large agile release trains with a lot of budget, and they want to have fully integrated workflows with total control by their development teams and product owners. So for them, the open source variant is the best. They have the least dependencies, not even dependency to license costs. But of course, it's also the most expensive option for the bank. So you see, for complex business workflows, it's good to use the Pro code. It's also based on our platform. We can reuse interfaces, and if necessary, we can add additional interfaces to it. For smaller, less integrated workflows, it's better to use the low code. It's also without client data. That reduces the regulatory demand. And because it's low code, it also restricts the possibilities to go overboard with implementing functionality, because it's basically restricted to the tool set and the features and the gadgets that Flowable itself requires. And for the highly integrated workflows that need to be nearly hidden behind an entire solution, the open source is the best one. So to break it down a bit, we have 2 applications in Julius Bär that are based on open source, and of course we have many more that are based on pro code and low code, and that gives also a bit of a perspective how we are using these usage types. Before I go into the service models that are behind these usage types, I would like to give a few personal remarks regarding the low code, because we hear a lot at the moment the attractiveness of using low code. It basically helps that almost everyone that can model a workflow can actually contribute to development. It helps to set up fusion teams where specialists from business are working hand in hand and very closely with IT on solutions. And it also has a cost benefit because you have less media breaks between business and IT. What we notice when applying low code, that still it requires a lot of training for the people being involved. And while we in the competence center have an organizational and a funding commitment, of course the business owner needs to have the same funding commitment as well. And it is more personal dependent. We actually make very good low code experiences with business owners that have the expertise and the IT affinity and the excitement for it. And as soon as this is changing, we actually realize that we have to move from low code into pro code, or that we basically have to take over the low code function, low code work for it. That's just as a personal remark what our experience is between pro code and low code. It's the future, of course, is with low code and extending it with pro code. So back to the presentation, offering these 3 usage type needs to be backed up by fitting service models, and we have them here. So what you see here is that we as a competence center provide these 3 models. The first one is called software as a service. If the demand is to have the competence center to fully deliver end-to-end a solution, then it's best to use software as a service. We provide the platform and we deliver the solution. And after delivery we take over the solution maintenance and support. It is possible to collaborate with the competence center, and for that, the platform as a service is a very good model, because here we are providing the platform, and then the requesting entity is developing the solution in collaboration with us. And this could be based on the low-code environment, or it could be that they're using pro code and contributing with their modeling experience, or if it is other IT departments within the bank, that they are also contributing with their own Java extensions. So here we have a platform responsibility with the competence center, and we have a solution responsibility with the requesting entity. And because we have all the Flowable expertise in our competence center, we also provide consulting on demand for the agile release trains that are using the Flowable open source. On the finance and operational side, you see that software as a service depends on central budget management. In the bank, we call this change the bank for new implementations and run the bank for the maintenance and support. The platform as a service has a more shared funding model, because the effort or the input of the business when they do the modeling, or the input by the other IT department when they are delivering solution development is of course funded by themselves, and the central budget comes for the platform maintenance and life cycle. And regarding the consulting part, the entire funding is with the requesting entities. So interesting is actually that platform as a service looks as the cheapest model of all of them. There is less central funding required. You can compare it a bit. Imagine yourself being very good in painting walls, and you have a house built, and you basically contribute to the builder by building your own walls. So the bill that you get from the builder is less. There is less cash out. You have actually built the house at a lower cost because you contributed yourself by building the walls yourself. That is the attractiveness of platform as a service. The attractiveness of software as a service is that you can hand over your plans and your requirements, and then you get it delivered, and it's a bit carefree in comparison to platform as a service. So our IT strategy emphasizes the reusability of the platform. It emphasizes people development, also adherence to regulation and architectural standards. And I would like to hand over now back to Thressiya, so that she can drill down on the governance that we apply in the competence center.
Thank you, Simon. So, well, we are here at a Swiss private bank, so governance is pretty much very important to us. So let's have a look at the governance framework for process and case management, focusing on flowable regulations and reusability at Julius Bär. The governance is central to ensuring the proper implementation of standards and guidelines. This is essential for maintaining consistency across the organization. Wow, that sounds so sophisticated, right? What does it mean really? Like in our everyday life, if a colleague approaches me like saying like, hey, Thressiya, we have this problem which we would like to have solved with Flowable. Can you suggest something? Like my Flowable heart would be like jumping, full of excitement, because hell yeah, you can pretty much model everything, any process or a case, everything in Flowable, right? I strongly believe in that. But somehow, and it would also look very good on my CV. Like imagine to say like within a very short time span, I was an integral part of implementing so many applications at Julius Baer. Oh my God, my CV would be like very exploding, right? Even though all thinking about all these beneficials, I still kind of begrudgingly, I have to say, well, let's take a step back and let's go to our architects. Because ultimately, based on, they are the ones handling different demands within the domain. So they will look at the problem and then based on two main criteria, they will decide about the technology which we should go for it. And those two main criteria are like the integration level required for this new solution and the complexity. So ultimately, our architecture team would decide which technology we should use for any upcoming applications. This is also to avoid to have these silos built everywhere throughout the bank. Everyone builds some small cases or processes with whatever tool they want. This kinda is not aligned with the IT strategy, doesn't go along with reusability. So our first approach would be go to our domain architects. Oh, well, we are here at FlowFest. The topic is Flowable. So let's say the architects say yes, this is a use case for you, Thressiya. That means the ball is in our court. Now the competence center is responsible for delivering this new application. Of course, we deliver it with, we are not in the waterfall world right now. We are also following the agile methodologies. Based on the team size, sometimes it's just 3 people, sometimes it's more than 5. There are certain Scrum ceremonies which take much less time because it doesn't make sense to have a retrospective of 1 hour or more, or a PI planning if the entire team consists of 3 people, right? But we do follow the incremental delivery based on our backlog, based on our stories. So that's how we deliver. Now, I know this saying like reinventing the wheel is so outdated and we hear that everywhere, but I kind of have to use the same here because if it comes to reusability, let's say an LDAP query, like all the applications have somewhere, well, now someone can say like, I have an application where you don't use username, but majority of the application, you have to find at least the creator or maybe an approval is involved to find that team head. So there is this LDAP sync, right? LDAP lookup. Our approach is when we create that service integration, that will be part of our foundation layer so that all the upcoming developments or the upcoming applications can benefit from the foundation layer. So this goes also a bit into saving cost a bit, right? So the idea is also reusability. So our approach is not archiving is an example, right? Almost all the, well, in a bank, right? Almost everything needs to be archived. So the integration, how we archive, that is part of our foundation layer. The idea behind is it can be reused by all our future applications as well. Now, it sounds like integration, like backlog, Scrum ceremony. You might wonder how our team look like. Who are the main players? Which are the roles that is required in our team, right? So in order to go understand that, I think it would be essential to know whatever application we built so far, it might change in future, but until now, the life cycle of the project is not just from where we conceive the initial idea, and then you have the go live and let's say a burning phase, and then it's not like move to the next project. We do take care of even the life after go live. Wow, that sounds so weird. But main part is you have to think about the operation as well. Now, that's where the 2 main key roles come in place. One is the application owner, application responsible, and the IT service owner. So from the time when we receive our first request or the first story or requirement, the application responsible is in constant touch with the product owners as well as with the architects to design the process, design the application. The IT service owner, the ITSO, will also literally observe and monitor all the non-functional requirement NFRs, because it depends on how the maintenance is going to be after the go live, is like how well or how good you execute the NFRs, right? So it is, those two roles are very important. Now, based on the delivery package size of the project, we have Java developers, business analysts, and modelers. Now, you might think it's a very stressful work environment, and how do we do things? That is where, like, I don't know how many of you know Tamagotchi. Maybe I'm too old and you guys are all too young. It's the same concept, you have this tiny egg, you have to nurture it, foster it. If you don't take care of it, your Tamagotchi dies, right? Pretty much similar is also an application, when you implement, you have to take care of it. You have to think about the maintenance. How can you improve the existing technical depth? How can you improve or add new enhanced applications so that the user journey is more easier or can be updated? All this taken care of, and the life cycle you have to plan it, that gives you automatically, it makes you responsible for that application. So you see it as, well, in working context, you see it as part of yourself. And that keeps the team highly motivated and very engaged. And it makes much more, it's not like you deliver something and you move to something, because whatever you deliver, you have to deal with it afterwards as well. So you think automatically more, you are responsible. So this is now the governance, how the team setup is. Like, it sounds all very good. Now, the question would be like, how are they doing that, right? Because of course, money is, financing is a very, very important aspect. Like the saying goes, like, no money. No, I am not completing that sentence in this FlowFest event. So our license costs are centrally funded based on the enterprise license contract we have with Flowable. Now, if there are new requests coming in for projects or small IT orders, that is funded by the requestee based on the estimation we provide. Like, that depends on how big or complex the new projects are. And yes, it is quite, it's not the case that we always get all the projects approved and we are implementing it. Sometimes finance is an issue, and here and there we have to say sometimes no, or we get a rejection. Now, if it comes to application support and maintenance, that is also centrally funded. The funding is based on the usage and the scope of each application, which ensures the support is aligned with the demand, right? Then lastly, competence center, of course, we are not working for free. We are also funded centrally based on our objectives and goals. Well, that's it about governance. Back to you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Thressiya. So you see, it's all about rules, it's about the money, and of course, it's about the team that is following this and still gets excited about it. And thank you, Thressiya, for bringing this so well across, because we have a team that is very excited in this environment and to deliver to the bank. Let me summarize the presentation, the last 30 minutes quickly. So we have to be prepared for unpredictable solution demand from different subsidiaries coming with different cultures and local flavors. The bank is driving the agile delivery methodology, but it also allows different interpretations. And some of our internal clients still think rather waterfall, others are very agile. last but not least, we must be innovative to remain competitive. So our enterprise is dynamic and global. And to enable enterprise usage of Flowable, we offer flexibility, stability, and a broad range of usage. And this is why we have set up a competence center that offers different service models, that follows the architecture guidelines and receives a base funding. And with Flowable, we have the technology that allows a broad range of usage, and we have built a foundation layer that makes it much easier to integrate with surrounding systems. So with that, we are at the end of the presentation, and in the name of Thressiya and myself, we hope that we have given you an interesting insight into how we are using Flowable enterprise-wide at Bank Julius Bär. Thank you very much for your attention. And now, of course, we are excited to get your questions. And I'm handing the microphone back to Manuel for bringing them into this audience. Thank you.
Wow, what a great example of utilizing Flowable globally and also having a central team to take care of the enterprise-wide solutions. Thank you very much, Thressiya and Simon, for this awesome presentation. So we indeed have a few questions, so let's start answering them. The first one is from Martin. He was asking, how do you test your models?
That's a good question, and I will start it, and then I will hand over to Thressiya, because we actually ended up in the last few years that we pretty much did manual testing all over. So we were testing the resulting solutions in a manual way. Of course, wrote test cases for it, did it in a structured way, but we are just right now going into test automation for this using the Selenium framework. And maybe Thressiya, you have some details on top of it, because you're involved in the discussions that we have with our testing center of excellence.
Yes. So like Simon said, so far we were doing the testing manually, and like we mentioned, 15 application growing to 20. So there is a high need for us to automate. Now, our team members had very nice idea. It's also, we need to think about our users who are going to be the testers or who is going to test it. So we had our first interaction with the test management team. At the same time, the team members, they have proposed a solution. So we are looking forward to have maybe a combination of Selenium Cucumber and how that can be adapted to our use cases. So right now, I cannot give anything specific to it, but we hope very soon, beginning of 2025, we have automation in place. Key is automation, guys.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. We have another question from Matthias. He's asking, what is the key reason why Flowable was chosen? Maybe also with the, let's say, key features you're using now.
We were looking into a few aspects. One, of course, was the low-code side. What features does it provide? What tool set does it provide to quickly put a process together without going into the Java development? So we were looking at the low-code functionality. We looked at the references it had for enterprise usage, in case we have to go into the whole Java extension side and the integration side. So that was another criteria. We had already experience with Appway. So we had a lot of challenges that we knew of and that we could bring into this evaluation and also bounce off to all the vendors that were offering their solutions. And in the end, it was the package of basically the wideness it can be used. I think that was the main selling point of Flowable, that on one side you can create the solution very quickly, and on the other side you can go into an enterprise solution that goes very far. And as an added bonus, the chat functionality was another one, because we could actually hit two flies with the same clap. Now, this is a Swiss German term brought into English. But with that, we had not only processing case management, but we also had the chat collaboration side covered. At that time, I have to say, in 2019, Flowable was also the leader on the market when it came to case management. So that made it a bit easier for Flowable also to present itself. The competition was not as strong. Yes,
that is a few years ago already, so still good on the market, I would say. Thanks for answering that. We have another question from Suan. She is asking in which department or resort of the bank the competence center is located.
So we have the COO, basically the operations part of the bank. Within COO, we have the IT department, and within IT, we have application management, and that's where we have global shared services. So it is within IT, and yes, and reaching out to the entire bank. I hope this answers.
Yeah, thank you very much for answering that. So I think we have time for one other question. What is the average development cycle of a new workflow request?
Yes, it's a big variance. I think within 2 weeks we have something demonstrable, maybe even less. If it's very clear, we get it demonstrable within 2 days. A project can actually last up to 8 months, in worst case 12 months, and depending on how small, how complicated, how large the process in itself is. The average we see is usually 2 months. That's the average that we have. And we also have to say that most work is not spent on the development side. I would say it's about 15% of the work that is really the development side. It's actually much more on the requirement side, on the demonstration and feedback side, on the testing side, even the go live in a bank, because it is a very much governed process. A go live usually takes 2 weeks for a new solution, from the point that you have the solution ready, then you go into the go no-go decision, then you have the final deployment steps and so forth. So you're spending time a lot with surrounding activities, that is making sure that what you bring into production is documented, is stabilized. Thressiya mentioned the non-functional requirements, that this is all adhered to, and the development of a solution itself is actually the smallest part.
Yes, totally agree. Okay, thank you so much, both of you. That was really great. Thanks a lot also for the detailed explanation of those questions. Yeah, I think we're coming at the end of this FlowFest session. I would really like to thank you, Thressiya and Simon, for attending this year's FlowFest.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.